In this lesson, you are going to understand the three things that you might be doing when you write music. And then in the next lesson, you're actually going to learn how to start writing music with notes and measures and time signatures and clefs
using pages from my #1 bestseller book, The Best Music Theory Book for Beginners, that sold over 5,000 copies. My name is Dan Spencer. I'm your music mentor. The full playlist with over 100 music theory lessons is in the video description. I recommend watching them in order. And now, back to the lesson.
all together. So let's start off by talking about what you might be doing when you write music down on paper. So you might be creating something brand new. This is called an original composition or an original song. When you create something new, this is called composition or the act of composing. This is when you create original, which means unique to you, means you've never done it before, combinations of notes in your measures. Completing an exercise. Your music theory coach, that's me, might assign a particular exercise for you to do in the workbook, like going through the workbook, like writing down notes, for example. Now, these can include specific examples, or you might have an assignment to create a composition, as you will see in your workbook. So when you write music down, you might be completing an exercise. The third thing you might be doing when you write music down is copying another piece of music. This is called transcription, or the act of transcribing. You can transcribe music that you hear onto paper. You can also copy other written music onto paper. And again, I'm saying paper, but you could be writing it into a software program or marking up a digital paper on your tablet. Now, the act of hearing music and writing it down, that's a combination of two skills. That's the combination of a skill called ear training and the skill of music theory. So right now, you're learning music theory, you're learning how to write the music down, but learning to take music you hear, also hear in your head, and write it down. That's ear training plus music theory. So I'll see you in the next lesson where we're going to talk about how you can know how many notes and which notes you can put in which measure with which time signature. I'll see you there. In this lesson, you are going to learn all about measure math. Now, I know you signed up for a music theory course, not a math course, but trust me here, just a little bit of math is going to help you so much. Okay, so the measure math rules are, well, there's only one of them. Every measure must add up to the number of beats indicated in the top number of the time signature. So remember, the top number of the time signature shows us how many beats or how many counts there are in each measure. So you need to make sure that when you write music into measures, you are agreeing with and following that top number. Let's look at some measure math for 4/4. And we're going to do that with three types of notes: whole notes, which get 4 beats or 4 counts; half notes, which get 2 beats or 2 counts; and quarter notes, which get 1 beat or 1 count each. Now, we can have stem up or stem down for half notes. It's still going to be worth 2 beats either way. We can have stem up or stem down for quarter notes, worth 1 beat either way. So let's look at some measure math for 4/4. In 4/4, every measure must contain exactly 4 beats or 4 counts worth of notes. You can combine any notes together just so long as you keep each measure to only 4 beats or 4 counts worth of notes. So let's look at some incorrect examples first. So we can see, sure, we got a percussion clef, we've got time signature of 4/4, and in this first measure, incorrect, there's 2 beats. So there's 2 quarter notes. A quarter note is worth 1 beat or 1 count each, and there's only 2 quarter notes in the measure. We can see, sure enough, we have a bar line over here, and by the time we get to the bar line, all we have are 2 quarter notes. Wrong. Let's take a look at the next measure. Ooh, and the next measure, this is a fun one. We have 2 quarter notes and a whole note. So a quarter note gets 1 beat or 1 count each. A whole note gets 4 beats or 4 counts. So that is essentially 1 plus 1 plus 4, which equals 6. That is no good because we can only have 4 beats or 4 counts in each measure when the time signature is 4/4. Let's look at the next measure. In the next measure, between the 2 bar lines, we only have 1 single solitary lonely old quarter note. And that lonely old quarter note only gets one beat or one count, which means we're missing 3 beats or 3 counts because each measure needs 4 beats or 4 counts worth of notes in it. And here in our last measure, we have a half note and a quarter note. A half note gets 2 beats or 2 counts, and a quarter note gets 1 beat or 1 count. That's 2 plus 1, which equals 3 beats. And we need it to be 4. So now let's look at some correct examples for 4/4. Sure enough, you can see here, there's one whole note in the measure. A whole note is 4 beats or 4 counts. That is great. 2 half notes in a measure. That's 2 plus 2. That's good. Oh, 4 quarter notes. That's 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. That equals 4 beats. That's good. Now we have a quarter. That's 1. Plus a half note. That's 2. Plus a quarter. That's 1. 1 plus 2 plus 1. 4 beats, 4 counts. So you need to make sure that every measure has exactly 4 beats of 4 counts. Now what you cannot do is you cannot start a note at the end of a measure that goes past a bar line. Now what I mean by that is this. Let's say we have this measure here exactly as it is. So we have 1 plus 1 plus 1. Now let's imagine for a moment that this here is in fact a half note, not a quarter note. That doesn't work because this half note is in this measure. That's going to be plus 2. That's going to equal 5. And that is no good. Excellent. I'll see you in the next lesson where we're going to break down 3/4 correct and incorrect measure math. See you there. In this lesson, you are going to understand measure math for the time signature of 3/4. So just like with 4/4, that top number was 4. That means we needed 4 beats or 4 counts worth of notes in every single measure. For 3/4, the top number is 3. That means we need 3 beats or 3 counts worth of notes in every single measure. That also means we cannot use a whole note because a whole note is worth 4 beats or 4 counts, and we can only have 3 beats or 3 counts in every single measure. So the whole note does not fit, as we will see. Let's look at some incorrect examples. So here we have just 1 quarter note. Sure enough, time signature says a 3 on top. That means we are missing 2. Where's our other 2 beats? We need 2 more beats to get this to 3. Time signature is 3/4, and we have here a whole note. Well, that's no good because we need 1 less because this needs to equal 3 to agree with the time signature. Here we have a half note plus 3 quarter notes. Well, that's 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, which equals 5, which is no good because we need to agree with the 3 of the time signature. And in the last measure, we just have 1 half note. A half note equals 2 beats. Well, that's no good either because each measure needs to equal how many? 3 to agree with the time signature. Okay, now let's look at some correct examples. Now, as you can see here, sure enough, the time signature is 3/4, which means every measure needs 3 beats or 3 counts worth of notes in it. So we have 2 plus 1. Great, that's 3. That agrees with the time signature. 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3. Fantastic. 1 plus 2 equals 3. Great. 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3. That almost looks like a 7, but trust me, folks, it's a 1, and there's 3 beats or 3 counts in that measure. So whenever you write in 3/4, make sure that in every single measure you have 3 beats or 3 counts worth of notes. No more and no less. You cannot write a whole note in any measure in 3/4 because a whole note gets 4 beats or 4 counts, and each measure of 3/4 can only hold 3 beats or 3 counts. I will see you in the next lesson. Oh, but it's not over yet. Click here to watch the next video lesson or up here for the full video playlist.